I met a Marine general a few years ago, and he said on the way out of every Marine that was leaving his unit, he told him, and he looked him right in the eye, he said, "Don't let the Marine Corps be the last great thing you do for your country." And I've adopted that, and I tell everybody, I don't care who they are, if they call me and say, "I'm transitioning, and can you help me find a job," or whatever it might be, what I tell everybody is don't let the military be the last great thing you do for your country. Because the way you stay alive, the way you stay on this planet is to create a purpose in your life, a purpose for your family. Because when things are done, there's only two things you'll leave behind in this world, and that's your reputation and your children. Brian Mast has 4 beautiful children, a beautiful wife, one hell of a reputation, and he's gone on from laying in a hospital bed where I know the first thing he thought was, do I even want to be here? But he's here, he's doing unbelievable things for this country, and he's one of us. He's an EOD brother. So without any further ado, please help me welcome Congressman Brian Mast to the stage.
It's good to be with y'all. It's a true story what Ken said. It was my father that came to my bedside. I always tell folks, my dad and I, we love each other very much. We've just never been those two guys that run around saying that we love each other. Just wasn't who Dad and I happened to be. But when he did come to my bedside, immediately after I woke up in Walter Reed, he looks at me very seriously. He told me that he loved me, told me that he was proud of me, told me that he was glad I was okay and I was alive. And then it went back to tough love immediately after. And he looked at me very seriously. He said, "Brian, you can't let this keep you down. You got to find a way to get out there and pull yourself up." And he said very specifically, you got to find a way to get back to work. He said, you can't let your kids see you sitting on your butt, regardless of what happens to you in life, because your kids are always looking at you, and they're looking at you to decide if that's the way that they're going to go out there and live their life. Probably the most important lesson my father ever gave me at probably the most difficult time that he ever could have given me that kind of lesson. And so I was lucky to have a very good father. And I know all you techs out there, you're good fathers, and good mothers to your young ones out there. We produce some amazing children. It's something that's always tough for us to leave time and time again. I wanted to start with this. Any Marines out there? I was in the Army. Any Marines? Yeah, you guys are the biggest pain in my tail. That's the truth of it. I know you're proud of that, Congressionally, when we travel overseas, it's typically the Marine Corps that does a lot of our security detail over there. And so, Marines, they can't touch anything without putting an eagle globe and anchor on whatever it is. So all of my bags, my briefcase, everything that I have, it's got a big bag tag with an eagle globe and anchor on it. I fly 2 to 3 times a week, and it doesn't matter where I'm flying to, where I'm going. I got to answer questions for people constantly saying, "Oh, hey, Semper Fi, when were you in the Marines? When were you at Paris?" Every time I travel, I got to go out there and tell them, "Nah, I wasn't in the Marines. I was in the Army." But, it's a whole ordeal every single time we do it. It's what it is. But thank you, Marines, for that portion of my life. Bumming around here the last few days, I remembered a few other lessons that I learned from instructors, very specifically. This also has to do with Marines. Listen, when it's close to Christmas time and you're still in EOD school and the Marine head of nukes does something nice for you, don't refer to them as gunny claws. They don't appreciate that. You'll end up doing PT with the Marines if you call them gunny claws. Likewise, if that same Marine head of nukes does something that maybe you don't like as much, don't refer to them as the gunny who stole Christmas. They don't particularly appreciate that one either. You'll also do PT with the Marines if you end up doing that. If you continue on through school and you're still in school around Easter time, when we think about eggs and stuff, don't refer to them as the Easter gunny, because you will do PT with the Marines. And so those were at least 3 of the lessons that I learned. I learned a lot more than that here in my years and certainly in my years that followed, where I had the honor of being one of your brothers. I got to learn very personally, very specifically, who each of you are and what makes you tick and what makes you choose to move calmly and purposefully towards the danger that every other person wants to get away from. And I think it's something that we all share inside of us. You know, hell yes, we love this place. We love America. We love everything about those 50 stars and those 13 red and white stripes and everything that they stand for in our hearts. And hell yes, we want to be sewn into the fabric of those flags. And there's nothing that we wouldn't do in defense of this country. Every one of you have proven that. But what we do on the battlefield, it's what we do for our brothers and sisters in arms. It's what we do for those who stand to our left and right. That's what drives us when we're on the battlefield, to go out there in those moments that we say it's them or us. It's our brothers to our left and right. It doesn't matter if our uniform says Army or Navy or Marines or Air Force. It's a commitment hood of our brotherhood. Whether you served in wartime or peace, you made the same commitment. You make an offer to exchange yourself for the freedom of our nation and everybody that falls under that flag, but more specifically, for the breath and the heartbeat of those fellow service members that are to our left and right, that are looking at us saying, make this situation safe. Our brotherhood, they were there during World War II, fighting the Empire of Japan at Okinawa. They were there in the north of Africa with Patton and his tanks. They were there on the beaches of Normandy in the last great German offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. They were there in the frozen grounds of Korea. They were there in the rice paddies of Vietnam. They were there in the jungles of South Africa. They were there in the Gulf, the Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Bosnia, Kosovo. We've been there fighting the war on terror in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I dare say that there are few that know as well as you the true cost of defending liberty, defending this country, and defending others. Each and every one of you, you bear the scars. Some of you bear it on your outside, but certainly all of us bear those scars on our inside as year after year. We see the families, we see the children, we see our friends handed folded flags, just as we took part in this morning. How many names could each and every one of you call out? How many stories could we tell about each and every one of those that we remember, maybe from the moments that we started going to school with them, maybe when we were stationed with them, maybe when we were overseas with them? I could tell you stories about True Blood and Dunning and Vickers and Gannett. I know you could tell me about countless others. None of you are forced into this life that you live. You all chose this austere life. It's a calling for each and every one of you. That's why you're doing it. It's because of its purpose that you go out there and do it, which does take you to harsh and brutal places around this world. Not beautiful places, certainly not that, brutal places. But what I also know about your scars is this: your scars aren't broken pieces of you. Your scars are the strongest parts of you. They're a testament to your strength. Your scars are a testament to who you are and to what you've undertaken. Your job, it's not something that everybody can do. Most people, even those that put on a uniform in defense of this country, they don't have the stomach to do what it is that you do, and even less have what it takes. Maybe you dismount a truck and don a 100-pound bomb suit. Maybe you dismount a bird with nothing more than body armor and a helmet that won't withstand the challenges that you face. Maybe you were trained on a flight line. Maybe you were trained underwater. But whatever the case, today you yoke your body with an M4 that you will have to use at some point or another, with hundreds of rounds of ammunition, with explosives and thermobarics and breaching charges, C4, det cord, shock tube, caps, x-rays, jammers, detectors, robots, everything else that you could possibly need to save the life of a friend, and everything that you need to take the life of one of our enemies. Maybe the heaviest thing that each and every one of you have to carry is a letter that you may one day have to deliver to one of your best friend's families or children should something ever happen to them. You carry that kit for miles and days on end. You render safe for others in the most unforgiving climates on this planet, in the most unforgiving moments of time. You do it whether you slept in the fields, whether you slept on the ground, or whether you didn't sleep at all. You jump that kit from planes. You rope that kit out of helicopters. You carry it through swamps and jungles and deserts and places so hot that heat stroke is an endless threat, places so bitterly cold that your fingers suffer from frostbite, and you still get the job done. You clear the way, even though you have bullets fired at you, RPGs, grenades, mortars hurled at you, even though you might have bombs dropped on you, and you do it while snipers target you. You carefully seek out improvised explosive devices, specifically hidden by others, set up to detonate in ways meant to surprise you, meant to take your life. Your body, your hands, your mind is the shield that is used to protect others from devices willing to take your life and every single person standing around you. Some of you left pieces of your body on the streets, in the fields that we've gone out there and cleared. But there's no question we've all left pieces of our soul when our friends left us in places like Kandahar and Mosul and Baghdad and all those other places that we put our boots on the ground. We leave behind every single time that we do it our spouses and our hell-raising children, whom we love more than anything in this world. And we miss their births. We miss their birthdays, their anniversaries. We miss football games and plays and baseball games and dinners and bath time. We miss them for months, sometimes years on end, year after year after year. And while we risk taking a bullet in the leg or the arm, or being burned beyond recognition, or taking frag in the eye or the chest, or breaking bones, or possibly having our off switch hit one final time, you earn medals that you put on your chest. Every one of those medals, it's its own story. Each and every one of you are decorated with them. They're stories of our nation's history. They're a piece of our EOD family history. They're an account of your selflessness on behalf of other people every single time. And the stories that those racks tell, they're of the trust that others in the battle space have in each and every one of you. That when you tell others, you step where I step, you go where I go, you will be okay. That's the trust that they have in you. There's stories of vehicle-borne IEDs with hundreds of pounds of explosives, of ambushes set in homes that are rigged to detonate, of roadside bombs buried and hidden, fields littered with hidden charges, breaches that are meant to kill you when opened, tripwires, pressure plates, remote detonations. We go to war every single time knowing full well that initial success or total failure, that's not a motto without meaning. Our children, they may have to grow up without us because of the sacrifice risked every single time that you step off to do your job. They may be handed a folded flag in remembrance of you. They may have to hear that cold crack of a 21-gun salute or that slow hum of taps instead of your voice. You who wear that crab, each and every one of us, we are family. And I'm damn proud to say that you are my brothers. You are my sisters. Because I know who you are. And I know what you've done. And I know what you've overcome to go out there and do it every single time. I know what you risk to do it every single time. And I know what you're willing to risk again. And it's in that I just got to say to each and every one of you, I hope that God blesses each one of you. I hope that He blesses your families. I hope that to those whose names that we read off today, that He can give some semblance of peace to each of you and each member of your family. And I hope that He can guard all of those members of our EOD family who are overseas as we speak, defending others as we speak, telling them, you step where I step, you go where I go, and you will be okay as we speak. May God bless you all. May God bless this damn fine country.